I'm saying people Bob. I'm Robert Isaiah, and this is the Ghetto Chef. Cut. It's not chef, you idiot. Hello, I'm Robert Isaiah, and I am the Ghetto Chef, and today we're going to be cooking some lamb. We're going to do the lamb thing today. Just keep in mind, lamb is very problematic, but if you prepare it properly, you will have a very good meal with the lamb. But remember the first thing about cooking. The very first thing you got to realize about cooking is, what is the first step to cooking? The very first step to cooking is you clean your kitchen. I don't know too many people when I was growing up that had a kitchen that was dirty and they was trying to cook. The first thing you got to do is clean your kitchen. So that's what I did prior to setting up the prep materials. Is I cleaned the kitchen. I cleaned out the sink. I cleaned the stove. I mopped the floor. If you have a nice fresh smell into your kitchen when you first before you attempt to prepare your food, it's a good thing psychologically because it gives a air of professionalism to your cooking experience. Cut. How was that? Hi, I'm Robert Isaiah, and I am the Ghetto Chef. Today, we're going to cook lamb, and we're going to do it in a cheap, inexpensive way, but it's going to taste like a gourmet did it. And basically, if you take these painstaking steps, it will taste like a gourmet. It will taste like a gourmet cooked it. But remember this, the very first step in regards to your cooking experience is you must clean your kitchen, and which is what I did. So before you attempt to prepare any meal, make sure your kitchen is clean, which is what I did. I cleaned the counter. I cleaned the sink. I cleaned all the dishes. I mopped the floor. I made sure that it has a nice chlorine smell, because eventually the chlorine smell will dissipate and you have a nice disinfected area to begin your cooking experience. Not only that, nobody wants to be smelling chlorine while they're cooking, so it's a good idea to wait at least an hour after you mop and clean and then begin your cooking experience, which is what I'm going to do now. So as I stated, we're going to be cooking lamb, and lamb is very problematic sometimes, but it's if you take proper preparation as anything in life and do it in a straightforward manner, you can have a good experience when you're cooking lamb. And we're going to begin that process now. First of all, I make sure that I shop at a place that's going to give me quality meats. The better quality of the meat, the better quality of the experience as far as eating the food or meat or what have you, or whatever you do. So in other words, what I'm saying is, the better quality the meat, the vegetable, or the dairy product that you begin with, that will determine how good the meal will be when you're going to serve it to yourself or to others. First of all, we starting out, I shop at a place that I hope people will take advantage of, and you'll find out that the place that I shop at to get the quality food is not as expensive I should say, as it originally sounds. I shop at Trader Joe's, and they are basically at various locations, and I'm not giving them a free plug, but let's just say that when I shop for quality meats, food, what have you, I shop at Trader Joe's. What I did was I got a package of their lamb burgundy tips. Fortunately, for this episode of our Ghetto Chef, you will see that these lamb pieces have already been separated. They have already been marinated. They have already have been seasoned and spiced, and quite frankly, that makes it easier and faster for us to begin this this cooking scenario that we're about to do. So if you will notice, I have a pan on the stove, and if you will notice, it's been sitting on a very low flame, and that's exactly the way we want it to be. We want it to sit on a very low flame, because when we are ready for the lamb, we are going to pan saute the lamb at a high rate of speed black it on both sides, and then we will cut down the heat and let the meat slow cook itself into an orgy of tasteful sensation, taste sensation. Trust me on this one, I ought to know. Okay, so first thing we're going to do, we have the lamb, we have it thawed out. By the way, the best way to thaw out your food is to thaw it out in the refrigerator. In the refrigerator. In the refrigerator, folks. You can, watch this, in the summer months, you'll find out how problematic thawing food outside of the fridge is. When you get to your meat and you grab it and it has a little sticky sensation, then you should have basically let it thaw out in the fridge, which is what we did here. To begin with, as I stated, the meat has already been pre-seasoned, but that does not stop us. We are going to put other seasonings on this lamb to make it taste even better. If you will notice, these are the condiments that I like to use. These are the natural vegetables that I like to use. We're going to start out with a bit of chili powder mix. Is one of my own special concoctions. It has very hot chili pepper. Okay. Yeah, get that olive oil in the background too if you can. If not, don't worry about it. This is my own special homemade recipe for a spicy marinade or a spicy seasoning specifically for red meats, but it can also be used for fish or chicken. It contains, I should say, it contains extra hot chili peppers powder. It contains turmeric, and it contains a couple of other spices which will remain secret until the day that I die. The contrasts in taste and spiciness is what will give the lamb a kick, if you will. And I would recommend, I use this very sparingly because it is very, very hot. So you don't want a hot Jamaican seasoning, blackened season type a hotness to the food. You want a little bite to the lamb, but not something that's going to overwhelm the people. All right. Now, next thing I'm going to go to is a everyday seasoning. Once again, this is from Trader Joe's. And again, I'm not giving them a free plug, but they have some very good spices there. This is a multiple seasoning, multiple seasoned spices. It contains multiple spices and seasonings mixed together. I love those type of spices because they have maybe 10 to 15 different types of food and spices, condiments mixed in one thing. I also use Jamaican Choice garlic scallion allspice. This is delicious. You got to try it on salmon patties. You also got to try it on lamb, which we will soon. All right. Also, we have once again the outright 21 seasoning sauce. I should say spice seasoning. It has 21 different seasonings in it, and it is absolutely delicious, and it does include sea salt. By the way, if you're going to use salt for cooking, try to use sea salt because it is much more healthy for you. So you got to realize salt is bad for you, especially only if it's that refined salt. Remember that. All right. The next is we're going to have a little Mediterranean taste, which is also why I have my special extra hot spicy chili powder that I showed you earlier. We're going to put a pinch of Mediterranean sauce, which basically it has the basic Mediterranean herbs in it. If you want to know the exact content, write me a letter or send me an email and I'll give you the exact contents. Okay. We're going to move over to what I have now on the cutting board. Before I get to the cutting board, I don't want any of the spices to feel guilty or left out. One of the things that really good cooks use, and I'm not a really good cook, but I do like to experiment, which makes you a good cook, a better cook, shall you say. I like to use pastes, pastes, pastes. Get into the habit of using pastes. For instance, this is Ocopa paste. It's a combination of egg, it's a combination of scallion, and it's whipped into a paste, and you basically use it to spread across the meat. How? You do not use a spoon or a fork, guys. When I say spread, I meant to use the word brush. You brush this sort of food or paste on your meats, on your food, whatever you're using it for. Get yourself a cooking brush. Do not get a paintbrush, guys, because paintbrushes contain stuff on the ends that you don't want to get mixed up with your food, and it may interact with your spices and toxins, and you might fall out or something. So make sure you get you a cooking brush. You understand? So the next thing that we're going to use, and remember, I'm a big proponent of paste. We're going to use the yellow hot pepper paste. This again adds another spicy element to the meat. And basically, keep in mind, guys, and dolls, this paste is basically for the meat. And this is why I say, get yourself a brush so you can spread it. And this next paste is definitely one of my all-time favorite paste and a condiment to use. This is basically garlic paste. Now, there are people, we have garlic that we're going to manually chop up, but listen up, folks. If you want a really great garlic bread, or if you want really great tasting meats, get yourself garlic paste. And once again, get that brush so you can generously spread it, which is what we're going to do over the meat. Again, to beat a dead horse, I'm using the paste to spread across the meat, on top of the meat, to give it a more enhanced flavor and smell. Because remember, good food, you smell it also. That's one of the things that makes you want good food, is the way it smells. All right. There's nothing like having fresh vegetables, and we are no different. We have some fresh smelling cilantro right here. One of my favorite spices or favorite vegetables to use is cilantro. And you can tell right away if your cilantro is fresh as soon as you walk in the room where it is, or into the market where it's being sold. You will get that bouquet, and it's literally, to me, a bouquet of the aroma of cilantro. Definitely one of my personal favorite smells of all time is cilantro. Now, one of the things, you notice I had a knife in my hand. Well, we don't use a knife with cilantro, okay? Me, myself, and other cooks that I know, scissors. Cut your cilantro off like that. That's what we're gonna do right now. You cut off some leaves. It's like pruning. You prune it, you prune it, you prune it. And check this out, folks. If you store your cilantro properly in the fresh drawer, in your fridge, you can keep cilantro for at least a week, and it will replenish itself by regrowing. So you can constantly replenish your supply of cilantro if it's stored properly. If it's stored improperly, it will rot in 2 days, and it will be brown and messy, and you just wasted that good smelling cilantro. So I just knocked off some leaves right quick. I'm gonna put it back over here. I'm gonna put my stuff over here. And basically, I'm going to show you a couple other things that we're going to use for the meat. Keep that in mind. By the way, I'm going to remind you, always keep a lookout on your pan, because right now we have a pan sitting on very, very low heat. Why? Because remember what we're going to do with that lamb. We're going to pan saute it. Basically, we're going to blacken it on both sides. Then we'll cut down the heat and allow it to slow cook. Also, another good thing about allowing meat to defrost in the fridge, it has a little crunchiness because it has a little bit of ice still on it a little bit. and it still has moisture in it. So when it gets into the pan, it'll create its own juices. All right? So listen, this is what we're gonna do now. I have some garlic here, and basically, I just told you about garlic paste. Let me just say, I like garlic a lot. So any excuse I can find to add a lot of garlic to something, I'm gonna find it, all right? So you chop up you some garlic right quick, chop that bad boy up right quick. Also, keep your little garbage bag on right near you, because you don't wanna, really, you really like to make sure that you have a nice receptacle for your garbage and somewhere near and dear. All right. Oh, let me just give you the rest of these veggies I got up here. I'm a big proponent of mixing similar like vegetables together, such as scallions, onions, and shallots and garlic. They all come from almost the same family. All right. Don't ask me what that is, because that would be embarrassing to me. This is a shallot. It's basically a high class, high acidity onion, but it's an onion that's that's grown a certain way. It's almost what you would call a new potato. It's like a new onion. It's not quite mature, but it's basically it's an onion that's grown a certain way, and it's basically given a different type of soil that creates the flavor of the scallion. Excuse me, of the shallot. So one of the first things one of the things we do. Also, we have our white onions. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, as I mentioned, I'm going to chop up some garlic. Peel it first, and then you chop it up. Garlic usually unpeels rather quickly, ladies and gentlemen. So you can kind of like get it unpeeled and chopped, and basically make yourself a nice little pile of scallions, of garlic, of shallots, of cilantro, and man, when that's dumped into that lamb, you have a taste sensation that is out of this world. All right. I'm going to use all of this shallot because, number one, I love shallots, and number two, shallots, one thing about them, they're not as overpowering in your meal as onions, okay? But they still got that nice oniony taste and flavor, and you get that kind of that new oniony taste with shallots. I should say shallots. I keep calling them scallions. They're not. They're shallots. And they're expensive, relatively. It's, one of the things about being the ghetto chef is you will find ways to cook food and buy food that is, it might be a premium cut of meat or what have you, or a premium vegetable, but you can find good food inexpensively at certain places, and it's your job to make your body feel good by getting the proper nourishment. And that's one of the reasons why I also, once again, shop at Trader Joe's. Okay, we're going to chop up this whole rest of this scallion, I should say shallot, and put that, mix that into our nice pile of vegetables. There you go. Chop that up right fast. Chop it up. Man, you should smell this, ladies and gentlemen. If you try to duplicate this recipe, man, when you chop them shallots up, the aroma that's released, you have no idea. Okay, we're nearly done chopping up. And by the way, I'm a very slow chopper, because I can imagine just chopping really fast and then all of a sudden there's a bloody stump where my fingers were. Nevertheless, I'm sure you wanted to hear that while you're listening to a cooking show, so just get over it. Okay, now the last ingredient that we will be adding is the white onion. You can use Spanish, white, or red onions. It doesn't matter. Either choice is good for meat. Either choice is good for meat. So I like to chop my onions long way because I like to then chop them down into nice little pieces and add them to whatever I'm including them with. And as stated, we will be pan frying marinated lamb pieces, chunks, tips, and we will include a bevy of vegetables and spices to make the food, or I should say to make the lamb spicy and delicious. This is a little secret sauce right here. This is a combination of a seafood pepper sauce that was used, really a dressing. I got it at a Peruvian restaurant and I saved it because I like the way that it tastes. You know what? When I bust up that lamb tomorrow, why don't I put some of that joint on the lamb? Guess what we're about to do right now? Pour the lamb, I should say pour over the lamb, pour the Peruvian sauce, we always call it the seafood spicy sauce, pour that over. I have several of them, so I'm gonna dump all of them on the meat. That serves to keep the meat nice and moist. Yep. Pour all of that on there. And now I want you to see what's happening to the meat now. Should I be speaking? Yeah. Okay. I'm putting on my special chili sauce. See, this is the stage where we're going to put the condiments on the meat. That's what we're doing now. We're now going to put the condiments on directly on the meat now. Put that over here. The garlic scallion allspice, put a little bit on there. Now you might say this might be too much spices. Believe me, trust me, when we're finished, you won't notice there was multiple spices going on here. Put on the everyday seasoning, which is with a grinder. Okay, a couple of turns, and we're finished with that. And now the 21 shake that on there right quick. And now use your Mediterranean seasoning. Put that joint on there right quick. Not too much of that. And now it's time for our masterpiece. It's time to brush the meat, all right? Before we do that, let's do one thing. I like to take chopsticks and mix the meats, all the meats up in the spices now. See, now we're mixing up the meat and the various spices together. I mean, we just don't want the stuff on top of the meat. We want it mixed in. We want multiple spices mixed in with the meat. Okay. Put this down for a second. Now, you come back, get your brush, Open up your paste now. Dip, 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 dip. And now just spread. Don't worry, just spread. Don't worry, just spread. That's all you do, just spread. Don't worry about getting it ba-ba-ba, boo-boo-boo, and all that crap-a-oola. Just spread. Just spread. That's all you do, just spread. Don't even think about it. Just grab, open, spread. That's it. This is all you do. Because we're going to mix it again. We're going to mix it with the chopsticks anyway. And finally, my personal favorite, the garlic paste. There you go. And seeing that this jar is almost finished, I'm just gonna get greedy. I'm just gonna get greedy. I admit, folks, I can be greedy, especially with the garlic paste. So you spread that all around, slop it around like we used to say back in the day. And try to make sure you get all your product. You paid for it, folks. Okay. Look at that. Ladies and gentlemen, if you could just smell this. I mean, my cameraman, he's salivating right now. I can hear the water dripping on the floor. Ladies and gentlemen, if you could smell this, you too would be salivating right now. All right? Come back to your sticks. Get your chopsticks. See, why are you using chopsticks? Because I'm cheap and I don't want to waste all the condiments I just put on my meat by putting it all over my mixing tool, and I want all my, I'm just cheap, all right? All right? I'm cheap. Okay, nevertheless, you mix all of that together. Ladies and gentlemen, you have no idea how this smells. Now, next thing we're going to do is dump all of our pre-chopped veggies. Move that over there. One of the things I like to do with my kitchen when I'm using my utensils, if I'm not going to use it anymore, get rid of it. Get rid of it. Now, notice, ladies and gentlemen, grab another one. We have plenty of spoons. We are now dumping all those good smelling vegetables directly off the board. Yeah, look at that. Man, ladies and gentlemen, the smell of the garlic, the smell of the cilantro is absolutely heavenly. All right? All right. Get your sticks again. Get your sticks. Mix that bad boy up. Man, you should smell this, ladies and gentlemen. Garlic, cilantro, shallots, onions, scallions. Ooh-wee. And if I sounded like a mule, that's my problem. All right. Now, next thing. Olive oil. This one's almost empty, so we'll get a fresh one. We'll get the fresh one. Or do we need olive oil? Try to get extra virgin. Always try to get extra virgin olive oil. Always try to get cold pressed olive oil. That's a product of Greece. Okay? We're not gonna open this one. I'm gonna be cheap today. We're gonna use the rest of the oil in here because that's all we need. We only need a tablespoon. A tablespoon. Look how good that looks. That smells. Did I just, hold on. Let me dip that in there. One thing about olive oil, folks, you gotta remember about olive oil. Burns really fast, okay? Okay, now, we are now going to take the meat, take the lamb, that we have just prepared. Oh, one more thing. We know this is a little hot. This is one more little tidbit. This is crushed green chili sauce. Throw that on there right quick. Just throw that on there right quick. We call that a throw that on there right quick move. All right? Mix that in good too. Okay, now we are ready to transfer the meat to the frying pan. Oh, and ladies and gentlemen, I apologize if you noticed a little shake of the screen. It was the cameraman. He was basically so overpowered by the aroma of the meat that now smells that he accidentally, I slapped him in the back of the head. That's basically what happened. All right? Now, with all jokes aside, we are now ready to put our meat inside of the pan. Now, keep in mind, this pan been sitting up here for a minute. And keep in mind that olive oil burns rather quickly. But notice, flame is up high. It's been sitting on low flame, but now the flame is up high. Why? Because we're going to pan saute or pan braise the meats, okay? So now, this is going to be the cool part. Okay, we are now ready to put our, to dump our very excellent smelling lamb into the preheated pan, ladies and gentlemen. Notice that the flame is up a little more high. The flame originally was set at a low because we basically were prepping the pan for the meat. I am now going to put that bad boy on the flame. And keep in mind, once again, I have to keep reminding you, olive oil at high heat burns very quickly. Now, don't get it twisted, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not no cooking expert. It's just that I got cooking experience and I'm messed up before, so that's how I'm able to tell you what the do's and don'ts. Don't get it twisted. I am not no cooking expert. I ain't no chef. I'm a ghetto chef. You understand? All right, so what we gonna do now, we gonna put the meat up in here now. And you're gonna hear some popping and you're gonna hear some other stuff, but we have to, let me position my pan lid over here. Put your pan lid close, because when you dump that meat in here, like I said, it's gonna start popping, all right? So that's what we're gonna do now. We're gonna dump the meat in. Ooh, listen to that sizzle. Listen to that sizzle. The sizzler. The sizzler. Sizzler. Let me just dump all of that out of there. Get all your stuff out of there. Mm-hmm. It smells even better when it hits the heat in the pan. Just unlocked all that flavor. All right. Done with that. Put it in your sink. Yeah, roll it around, let the olive oil get even throughout the pan. Grab the lid, immediately lid it, because you don't want the grease popping all over, and plus you want the juice. Leave it on high flame, ladies and gentlemen, for about 5 to 10 minutes. 5 to 10 minutes. 5 to 10 minutes, guys. Let it stay on high heat. What I would do is get you 2 more sticks. Get 2 more sticks and gradually and periodically stir it. Just like you would do stir fry. Just like you would do a stir fry. But this is meat. This is meat. So meat has to have an internal temperature of 165 degrees for it to be done. So that's why you make sure that your flame is on high when you put the meat in, and you also got to make sure that the pan is preheating for about 20 minutes on low heat. That means you got a very hot pan. And we're gonna... Okay, ladies and gentlemen, if you would notice, the meat is now browning. And once it is brown, it is now time to turn the flame down, okay? Because we want the food to slow cook. So what you will do is turn the flame down, stir it a couple of times, because you don't want it to get tough. Because if you keep it on high, it'll get tough. The meat will get tough. So what you will do is, and remember your lid is hot now, put it on low heat, let it simmer cook. This should take about 10 minutes. Welcome back to the Ghetto Chef. We have now cooked the lamb. I'm about to show you what the cooked finished product looks like. Now that it's done, we'll transfer the meat to a bigger container. Let's take a look at it. This is how your lamb should look after cooking it for about 15, 20 minutes on low heat. Remember, we started out by cooking the lamb on high heat, basically braising it. And then when the various juices are released after you braise the meat, or pan saute, whatever you want to call it, you then turn the heat down, or the flame down, to the lowest temperature or to the lowest height that you can get it. And then just make sure that you recover the meat and allow it to slow cook. Slow cook. Let me say it again. I just like the way that sounds. Slow cook the lamb in the juices. And believe me, the meat will be tender and it will not be chewy. Okay? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make a side dish of jasmine rice with the lamb. And we will also probably do some asparagus. I'm a big proponent of reusing the pan drippings, as they say. So more than likely will cook some asparagus in the same pan that the meat came in, and we're basically not going to clean the pan, we're just going to leave everything there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to transfer the meat to a bigger container, and then I'll cook my rice now. I have a pan all ready. And I'm a big proponent of using these things here. They are very cheap, very inexpensive. This one costs $1. I like to transfer meats and food from the pan to a bigger container. It just makes it a better fit. It makes it feel better, and it makes it easier to clean. All right, I'm going to dump the meats in here. Remember, this is a non-stick pan. In fact, let me do this another way. Let's move this pan over here. And you have to be very careful with the pan. You have to be very careful with these pans, because for some reason they like to slip and fall, and you don't want your food to end up on the ground. So you just dump all everything into the pan. And this is a non-stick pan, so it should dump very easily. All right, you set your meats to the side, because you'll be getting back to them in a minute. Spread that out nice so the meat can breathe. Or if you want, you can move some of it to the side so you can have I like to separate my different meat food from vegetables, from rice, that sort of thing. And that's what I'm doing now, just making a little space for additional side dishes. Okay. We're going to cook a packet of jasmine rice, and then we will cook some asparagus, pre-grilled, I might add. And we will use the same pan that we have used to cook the meat. We will not clean the pan. We will just dump the grilled dump the asparagus into the pan, and it cooks very quickly. And then we'll have our side dishes. So I'm going to dump our rice, into the, and this rice is microwavable. It will take about 3 minutes to prepare, and I'll be right back with you. Now we're back. I'm Robert Isaiah. I'm the gourmet cut. God damn it. Keep going. Keep going. 2, 3. Okay, we're back. I'm Robert Isaiah, and I'm the ghetto chef. Right now, we're doing our little side dishes or appetizers, whatever way you want to describe them. I have some pre-frozen grilled asparagus. As I stated, we're going to just use the same pan that we use to cook the meat in because it gives it a nice little flavor. I am putting some olive oil in the pan. I like to use, once again, the 100% Greek Kalamata extra virgin olive oil, cold pressed. Always try to make sure that your olive oil is cold pressed. Again, I got mine from Trader Joe's. All right. We're just going to let these asparagus spears cook. They don't really need a long time to cook. And while we're doing that, we're going to allow those to cook for a few minutes. All right. One of the next things that we're also going to cook is something that you may or may not be aware of, and it's basically called Korean scallion pancakes. Korean scallion pancakes are just exactly what they sound like. They're basically flattened pancakes consisting of scallions, a little bit of shrimp, various types of scallions, and it's basically pressed into a nice little pancake. They are delicious, and they are really prevalent in Korean cooking. I want you to get a good look at these because you got to see the various colors. One thing I do realize is that when you're cooking food, color is very important, especially for the presentation of the meal. But I want you to notice the color of the scallion pancakes and how that adds a contrast to the various side dishes that you will be using with your braised lamb tips. All right. I'm going to put these right in the same pan right along with the asparagus spears, which are now, I put them in, by the way, folks, I put the asparagus spears in while frozen. Remember, that's also a good way to make a nice simmering juice for your slowly pan-fried vegetables. These are going to come out so lovely. Hold on a minute. All right, you make some room for them pancakes. Grab them, just put them right in. Grab them, put them right in. Let them cook. Okay? Notice the contrast between the scallion pancakes and the green asparagus spears. If we was into that gourmet, if we was true gourmets, which we are not, you know, let's make one thing perfectly clear. We are not gourmets, we're ghetto chefs. We make stuff that we like to eat and we like it to be cooked a certain way. All right, these are going to grill. I'm going to just go ahead and turn the flame up a little more because we want it to cook fairly quickly, and the rice by now should be done. Plus the rice has to steam in its bag. So we're going to come right back and put our meal together, and then you can see the finished product. I'm Robert Isaiah, and this is The Ghetto Chef. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Robert Isaiah. I'm Welcome back, everyone. I'm Robert Isaiah. I'm the Ghetto Chef. Notice these lovely looking scallion pancakes are nearly done. Notice the golden brown texture of the pancake. This is how they should look when they're done. I have the grilled asparagus. We put a little bit of my secret hot spice sauce that I mentioned earlier, the same spice sauce we put on the lamb tips. I put some of that on there, and this is how they are going to look. I am now going to transfer these appetizers from the pan into the pan with the lamb tips, and then I'm going to get the rice and then mix some butter in it, and that's going to be the piece de resistance, as they say, of the meal. All right, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to turn the flame off. I'm going to let that just sit right there. Okay, let that cover up for a minute. We can take it off the flame. All right, the next scenario is we're going to use our rice. Take our rice, okay. I have here some butter. Now, I'm a big fan of salted butter, and this particular butter is the cultured salted butter. This is straight from France. French people make some of the best butter in the world, by the way. All right, so this is cultural. You might not can't see it too good. All right, don't worry about it. Just remember it's cultured, salted butter, and it's produced in Brittany, France. Now, like I said, the French make very, very good butter, and that's why we're going to use it to put in our rice. All right, so I'm going to take a couple of minutes to prepare the rice, and when I come back, we'll have a finished meal ready for you to salivate over, and then we'll be good to go. I'm Robert Isaiah. We'll be right back. This is the Ghetto Robert Isaiah, the Ghetto Chef. Man, now here is what the food looks like, ladies and gentlemen. It is now done. We have cooked the lamb. We have cooked the rice, jasmine rice mixed with Brittany butter from France. This is a rather international meal if you look at it. We have Korean scallion pancakes, and we have good old American green asparagus from California, organic. That's how it's going to look. Give me a couple of minutes to put some on a plate, and I guarantee you will salivate. Yes, that rhymed. I'm Robert Isaiah. I'm the Ghetto Chef. Thank you. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Robert Isaiah, and I'm the Ghetto Chef. This is our finished product. Jasmine rice, grilled asparagus, braised lamb tips, Korean scallion pancakes. Look at that. Let me bring it closer. Let the camera salivate. I know you are, but is the camera salivating? The camera is sweating right now, folks. Look at that. And believe me, it tastes as good. Wait a minute, let me see. I have to make sure. Let's try the lamb first. Tender, juicy, spicy, but not overly hot. Yeah, that's good. I'm Robert Isaiah. Thanks for spending time with the Ghetto Chef. Next week, ain't no telling what we're gonna cook, but I guarantee it's gonna be inexpensive, but delicious. I'm Robert Isaiah. I'm the Ghetto Chef. Stay tuned until next week. Thank you.